Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. This time we're headed 250 miles above Earth to the International Space Station.
It's always a hub of activity up there, of course, but this week is especially interesting.
Yeah, there's always lots going on. We've got new research, routine maintenance, and even some orbital plumbing to talk about.
Oh, and of course, a critical resupply mission is underway as we speak.
Right, so much to cover. Let's start with that resupply mission, actually. The Progress 90 cargo mission just launched on Thursday morning.
From the Baikonur Cosmodrome, right?
Yep, and get this. It's carrying almost 3 tons of supplies for the astronauts on the station. Food, fuel, new equipment, all kinds of essential stuff.
These missions are really a lifeline for the crew up there. They enable all the amazing research and keep the station operational.
Absolutely. And it's not just dropping off a package. It's a carefully orchestrated maneuver. The Progress 90 is scheduled to dock automatically with the Poisk module this Saturday.
I can't even imagine the level of precision required for that.
I know, right? Like trying to park a car in a tight spot while going hundreds of miles per hour?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that, but you're right, the margin for error is minuscule. Cosmonauts Alexei Ovchinin and Ivan Wagner will be carefully monitoring the docking process, though, just in case.
Talk about a high-pressure job. But while we wait to see that delicate dance unfold, let's check in on some of the amazing science happening right now on the station.
What do you have in mind?
Well, I was reading about how NASA flight engineers Don Pettit and Nick Hague are studying something pretty wild. Inflammation in space.
Yeah, that's fascinating research. Inflammation is how our bodies respond to injury and infection, right?
Exactly. And studying it in microgravity could reveal a lot about how our immune systems work, both in space and back here on Earth.
And that's crucial for planning those longer duration missions, like to Mars. We need to know how the human body will react to extended periods in space and how to deal with potential health issues.
Right, because a compromised immune system millions of miles from Earth is definitely not ideal.
Yeah.
But how do they even study inflammation in space? I mean, what does that look like?
Well, they're using this really cool technology called luminescence hardware. It's basically like a high-powered microscope that lets them visualize changes in biological samples at a tiny level, even seeing how individual cells react.
Wow, so they're actually watching the inflammatory process unfold in real time.
Pretty much. It gives them incredible insight into the complexities of the human body and how it adapts to the stresses of spaceflight. And as you said earlier, what we learn from this research could have huge implications for treating diseases back on Earth.
Yeah, new therapies for autoimmune diseases, better ways to support patients undergoing chemotherapy. The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing. Okay, so we've got cutting-edge research happening, but what about the more, shall we say, grounded aspects of space station life?
Ah, you mean like keeping everything running smoothly?
Exactly. The nuts and bolts of keeping a space station operational, like spacesuit maintenance, for instance. That's got to be a top priority.
Absolutely crucial. Those suits are basically mini spaceships themselves, protecting astronauts from the harsh environment outside the ISS. They need to be in tip-top shape.
And it sounds like NASA flight engineer Butch Wilmore has been busy with that. First, he had to remove all the securing hardware from the new spacesuit that arrived with the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft.
I bet that took some time.
Then, with a little help from Commander Suni Williams, he installed camera and data cables on the suit. And on top of all that, he's been doing routine maintenance on other suits, like filling their water tanks. Can you imagine working on a spacesuit with the Earth as your backdrop?
That view must be incredible. And that meticulous work, all that maintenance, it's not just for the current crew, It's also about paving the way for future missions, like the Artemis missions to the moon.
Right. Those upcoming lunar missions will need even more advanced spacesuits. So all this work on the ISS is directly contributing to that. Okay, so we've talked about research and maintenance. Now, what about this orbital plumbing we mentioned earlier?
Oh, right. Well, it turns out Suni Williams has been tackling the, let's say, less glamorous side of space station life.
Yeah, sometimes even astronauts have to deal with clogged pipes, huh?
It's not exactly like fixing a leaky faucet back home, but she's been working on removing and replacing components from the waste and hygiene compartment, or as we like to call it, the space toilet.
Now, that's a job I wouldn't want. But hey, it's all part of keeping the space station running smoothly, right? And while Suni's handling the plumbing, Butch is doing something even more wild. Playing with fire. Literally.
Wait, playing with fire? In space?
Well, not exactly playing, but he's been running an experiment in the combustion-integrated rack, studying how flames behave differently in microgravity.
That sounds a bit risky.
Well, it's all very controlled, of course. But it's fascinating stuff. Fire acts completely differently in space. Imagine a flame that burns in a sphere.
That's wild. It makes sense, though, without gravity to pull the hot gases upwards.
Right. So understanding how fire behaves in space is crucial for spacecraft design, especially for longer missions where fire safety becomes even more critical.
It's amazing how the things we take for granted on Earth, like fire, become completely different beasts in space.
It really highlights the ingenuity and problem-solving skills needed for space exploration. And, speaking of ingenuity,
What's that?
well, I was just thinking about all the different types of research happening simultaneously on the ISS. Like right now, Alexander Gorbanov is installing some new Earth observation hardware.
Ah, yes, gathering data about our planet from that unique vantage point.
And while he's doing that, Ivan Wagner is busy testing out a 3D printer.
Really? What's he printing?
I don't have the details on that yet, but just think of the possibilities. Printing tools, spare parts, maybe even medical supplies on demand in space.
The potential of 3D printing in space is incredible. It could revolutionize how we live and work up there.
Absolutely. It seems like there's always something new and exciting happening on the ISS, and it's all thanks to the hard work and dedication of the astronauts and the teams supporting them back on Earth.
It really is a remarkable feat of human collaboration and a testament to our insatiable curiosity about the universe.
So we've got this incredible research, essential maintenance, even space plumbing and fire experiments. It's amazing to think about the ingenuity involved in keeping the ISS operational. But you know what I'm really curious about?
What's that?
What it's actually like to live and work on the space station. We've all seen the pictures, the astronauts floating around doing their experiments. But what about the day-to-day reality, the stuff we don't see?
Yeah, the behind-the-scenes stuff. Well, let's just say it's not all glamorous spacewalks and groundbreaking discoveries.
I bet. What are some of the challenges that astronauts face on a daily basis?
Well, just imagine living in a confined space with the same small group of people for months on end. Privacy is limited, personal space is scarce, and there's that constant hum of machinery. It takes a special kind of person to thrive in that environment.
Yeah, I can see how that could be tough, even with the best of friends. I mean, we all need our space, right?
Absolutely. And on top of that, they're dealing with the physical challenges of microgravity, muscle and bone loss, changes in cardiovascular function, even alterations in vision.
Wow, so it's not exactly a relaxing vacation in orbit. What do they do to counteract those effects?
Well, they have rigorous exercise programs and specialized diets. The ISS actually has special equipment designed to help them maintain muscle mass and bone density. It's like a space gym.
A space gym. Who would have thought? But it makes sense, right? You can't exactly go for a run or lift weights like you would back home.
Nope. And of course, their health is constantly monitored by medical teams back on Earth. They're collecting tons of data about how the human body adapts to long-duration spaceflight, which is crucial for future missions.
So it's not just about keeping the astronauts healthy. It's about gathering valuable information that could help us understand the effects of space travel on the human body in general. That's pretty cool.
It is. It's like a giant science experiment, but with real people. But yeah, it's definitely not easy being an astronaut. They're pushing the boundaries of human experience, both physically and mentally. It takes incredible dedication and resilience.
It really does make you appreciate the sacrifices they make to advance our understanding of the universe. And speaking of advancing our understanding, I want to circle back to Don Pettit and Nick Hague's research on inflammation. You mentioned earlier how it could lead to medical breakthroughs here on Earth. Could you give us an example of how that might work?
Sure. Let's say you're studying how inflammation works at a cellular level in microgravity. Maybe you discover a new pathway, a new mechanism that we didn't even know existed back here on Earth.
Okay, I'm following.
And that new pathway could be the key to developing a new therapy for an autoimmune disease. Or maybe it helps us understand why certain people respond better to certain treatments. The possibilities are vast.
That's amazing. It really highlights the interconnectedness of space exploration and human health. It's not just about rockets and planets. It's about improving our lives right here on Earth.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to medicine either. Space exploration drives innovation across all sorts of fields. Think about 3D printing, for instance. Remember, Ivan Wagner is testing that out right now on the station.
Oh, yeah, right. He's seeing how it functions in microgravity, which is a whole other challenge.
It is, but think about the potential. Not just printing tools and spare parts, but biomaterials, even human tissue.
Wait, printing human tissue? In space?
It's not science fiction anymore. It's a real possibility, and it could revolutionize medicine. Imagine creating custom-made organs for transplantation right there on the space station.
That's incredible. So space exploration is not only expanding our knowledge of the universe, it's also pushing the boundaries of technology and potentially transforming healthcare as we know it.
Precisely. And it's all happening right now, 250 miles above our heads. It's truly a remarkable time to be following space exploration.
I totally agree. Okay, so we've talked about the science, the challenges, even the future possibilities, but let's get personal for a moment. If you could live and work on the space station, what do you think would be the most incredible part of that experience?
Oh, wow, tough question. I think for me it would have to be the view. Waking up every morning and seeing Earth from space, a swirling blue and green marble against the backdrop of the cosmos. Can you imagine?
That would be breathtaking. But what about the day-to-day stuff? What do astronauts do for fun in their downtime? Do they have movie nights? Space karaoke?
Well, I don't know about space karaoke, but they do have access to movies, music, books, even the internet, so they can stay connected to life back home, which is important for morale.
So it's not all work and no play.
Definitely not. They also spend a lot of time communicating with their families and loved ones back home. That's crucial for staying grounded, especially when you're millions of miles away.
It makes sense. You'd need that connection to feel a sense of normalcy. But even with those connections, I imagine there are times when the isolation feels overwhelming. Being so far from everything and everyone you know.
Oh, absolutely. Being away from family and friends, missing out on birthdays and holidays, not being able to just step outside and feel the sun on your face. Those are all sacrifices that astronauts have to make.
It really puts things in perspective. We often take for granted the simple things we have here on Earth, like fresh air and the company of loved ones. Makes you realize the dedication and resilience it takes to be an astronaut.
It does, and it underscores the importance of what they're doing up there. Pushing the boundaries of human knowledge, expanding our understanding of the universe, and maybe even paving the way for future generations to live and work in space.
Speaking of understanding, what do you think is the most awe-inspiring thing about the ISS? What really blows your mind?
For me, it's the sheer audacity of it all. This massive structure, built piece by piece in orbit, a testament to human engineering and international collaboration. And then there's the view, right? Our planet, this fragile oasis floating in the vastness of space. It's a constant reminder of what we're trying to protect and understand.
Okay, now I'm getting goosebumps. It really is a powerful image. This little blue planet, our only home, suspended in the void.
Yeah.
It really drives home the need to take care of our planet, you know?
Absolutely. And the ISS is playing a role in that too. Astronauts have a unique perspective on Earth's interconnected systems. They can see the effects of climate change firsthand, and they often use their platform to advocate for environmental protection and sustainability.
So it's not just about exploring outward, it's about looking back at our own planet and understanding how to preserve it.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our place in the universe, our interconnectedness, and our responsibility to care for our planet and each other.
Well said. It's inspiring to think about the positive impact space exploration can have, both on our understanding of the universe and on our lives right here on Earth. But I have to ask, what do you think would be the most challenging part of living on the space station for you personally?
Good question. Probably the isolation, being so far from my loved ones, from the familiar sights and sounds of Earth. That would be tough.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And the lack of privacy, the constant hum of machinery, the need to follow strict protocols. It all adds up.
It does. But then again, how many people get to experience the magic of floating weightlessly, seeing Earth from space, and contributing to scientific discoveries that could benefit all humankind? It's a trade-off, for sure.
It's an incredible trade-off.
Yeah.
It makes you realize the dedication and resilience of these astronauts. They're true pioneers, paving the way for future generations to explore the cosmos.
They are, and their work is inspiring us all to dream bigger, push boundaries, and never stop exploring the unknown. Who knows what the future holds for space exploration? Maybe one day we'll all have the opportunity to experience the wonders of space firsthand.
Yeah, it really is mind-boggling to think about this incredible orbiting laboratory where humans are pushing the boundaries of science and exploration, a constant reminder that there's still so much more out there waiting to be discovered.
It truly is a testament to human curiosity and our ingenuity, you know? As we venture further into space, who knows what incredible wonders we might uncover.
Exactly. And before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to bring it back to you, our listener. We've talked about the science, the logistics, the everyday life on the ISS. But what do you think it would be like to actually be up there?
Imagine floating weightlessly gazing down at Earth. A blue and green oasis against the backdrop of the cosmos. What would be the most awe-inspiring part for you?
It's an incredible thought, isn't it? And what about the challenges? What do you think would be the hardest thing to adjust to being so far from everything and everyone you know?
Hmm. Something to ponder, right? The ISS truly is a remarkable achievement, a symbol of human potential, international collaboration, and a constant source of fascination. It's a journey that's still unfolding with countless discoveries yet to come.
It really is. So keep looking up, keep exploring, and keep that sense of wonder alive. Who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one conducting experiments or gazing at Earth from the cupola window. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the International Space Station.